Welcome to our channel. But don't just scroll past this. What you're about to read isn't just some company's story. It's the story of a person. A guy who faced hardships as a kid, saw his dad struggle, grew up in broken homes, and often felt invisible. Yet, he didn't give up. He went on to help create one of the world's most famous brands. This isn't just about a coffee shop. It's about a brand that changed how people start their day. And no, he wasn't from a rich family, didn't have special connections, and he didn't even start the company himself. That place was just a stepping stone, one he would eventually transform completely. People laughed at him, doubted him, and said no one would pay $3 for coffee. He heard that not once or twice, but 217 times. Still, he never looked back. His name is Howard Schultz. This is the story of how he turned a painful childhood and tough experiences into a billion-dollar company. How he made coffee more than just a drink. It became a cultural experience. And yep, as you read this, you can also improve your English, because we're telling it in simple, easy-to-understand language. These stories teach you new words, important life lessons, and boost your language skills while you study. So grab your coffee or your dreams and settle in, because this is a story you won't forget anytime soon. This is the story of a boy who grew up between Japan and Brooklyn, New York, in 1953. Howard Schultz was born into a world where dreams were often small and life wasn't easy. He grew up in government housing projects, where people barely got by month to month. His dad was a delivery driver. No steady job, no security, no insurance. One day, he slipped on ice and got seriously hurt. And guess what? No one helped. No treatment, no compensation. Howard saw his strong and happy dad suddenly break down. He watched his dad become sad, unemployed, and hopeless. No one stepped in to help. That moment left a deep impact on Howard's life. He thought that if he ever built a company, it would respect people, not push them down. He was just a kid, but the pain lit a fire inside him. Poverty was so deep that Howard felt ashamed to bring friends home. He had no room of his own, no comfy moments, sometimes not even decent clothes. He said, "When you grow up with that much hardship, the shadow of it always follows you." But that shadow didn't break him. Instead, he found strength and courage in it. All he had was courage. He did small jobs, sold newspapers, and saved money. He also dreamed of being the first in his family to go to college. That path wasn't easy. He didn't get into Harvard, but earned a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University. To pay for his studies, he worked as a bartender and salesman. After college, he started as a salesman at Xerox, which had the best sales training back then. He was good, but Howard wanted a bigger dream. One day, he went to a small kitchenware company. There, he got a job selling coffee machines to local cafes. That's when things started to change. He noticed a customer from Seattle kept buying the most machines. Curiosity pulled him to visit. The company was Starbucks. Back then, there were just 4 stores, and they didn't actually sell coffee by the cup, just beans, grinders, and equipment. Still, there was something special there. The people's attitude, their energy, the conversations. Howard was drawn in. He said, "There was something at Starbucks I'd never seen before. It wasn't just coffee. There was warmth, culture, and connection." In that moment, a seed was planted. He quit his job and joined Starbucks. He had no idea. He knew this decision would mark the start of the biggest challenge of his life. Howard had already faced hardships. He'd felt overlooked and ignored. But he had a dream too. His dream was to build a company that truly respected people. And he'd found the perfect place: Starbucks. But soon, the very people he respected would reject his ideas. They'd say, "We can't do this." But Howard Schultz wasn't just any guy. He wasn't just selling coffee. He wanted to introduce a whole new way of life. He joined Starbucks when it was just a small company in Seattle. He wasn't the owner or rich, just an employee. But there was something different about him. Something big was about to happen. In 1983, Starbucks sent Howard to Milan, Italy. It was a short business trip, but what he saw changed his perspective. Everywhere in Milan's streets were tiny espresso bars, buzzing with people laughing, chatting, and sharing moments. People weren't just drinking coffee. They were connecting, talking, and sharing life. Those cafes weren't just places to grab coffee. They were spots to have conversations, unwind, and feel a sense of belonging. Seeing all this, Howard went deep into thought. It felt like he'd discovered a whole new world. A thought immediately struck him. America lacked places like this. Sure, coffee was available, but the experience that came with it was missing. He realized that the real value wasn't in the coffee itself, but the relationships built around it. When he got back to Seattle, he was buzzing with excitement. He shared his new idea with the company's founders. He said, "Why just sell coffee beans? Why not create spaces where people can sit, enjoy coffee, and connect?" He was confident this idea could change the future. But the response wasn't what he hoped for. The founders listened carefully, then told him straight up. They were focused only on selling coffee products, not running cafes. They believed American customers wouldn't embrace that kind of culture. And in their opinion, nobody would pay that much for just a simple cup of coffee. Howard was crushed. It felt like his most important dream had just died. But deep down, he made a decision. If the company wouldn't pursue it, he would make it happen himself. He realized he had to create his own path. With that mindset, he made the tough call to quit his job. By 1985, he was preparing to start his own company. He gave it a name inspired by Italian culture. The dream was big, but resources were tight. He needed investors. He met with many people, but most turned him down. Some said the American market wasn't ready for such a model. Others called it impractical. Many dismissed his plan as just a fantasy. Every rejection pushed him harder. Still, he didn't give up. He kept meeting new investors. One meeting ended and another began. Finally, some believed in his vision. After raising enough money, in 1986, he opened his first coffee bar in Seattle. It wasn't just business. It was an experience. The vibe, the music, the service, the way people were treated, everything was different. Customers felt like they were part of something special. People started loving this new idea. They weren't just attracted to the drinks. They connected to the feeling behind it. The business grew fast. Then, out of the blue, an unexpected opportunity came. The original Starbucks founders decided to sell the company. For Howard, this was a big break. The company that once rejected his idea was now up for sale. But buying it required a huge amount of money. When he found out the price, he was shocked. He didn't have that kind of cash. Still, instead of giving up, he worked even harder. He met with investors, shared his vision, and explained that this wasn't just a business deal. It was his life's mission. After weeks of persistent effort, he started getting the support he needed, and his dream slowly began turning into reality. Finally, in 1987, at just 34 years old, Howard Schultz bought Starbucks. For him, it wasn't just about buying a company, it was about reclaiming his dream. But a new challenge lay ahead. At the time, Starbucks was a small company with just a few stores, limited resources, and no clear identity. But Howard saw huge potential in it. Back then, Starbucks mainly sold coffee beans and related products. Most of the drinks and experiences the brand is famous for today didn't even exist. Howard decided he would give the brand a whole new direction. According to him, it wouldn't just be a place to buy coffee. It would be a place where people wanted to hang out besides their home and workplace. His strategy was based on three main ideas. First, building genuine relationships with customers. Second, creating an environment where people felt comfortable and at ease. Third, making every customer feel like their experience was personal and special. He didn't just want to sell a product. His goal was to build community, emotions, and memories. With this mindset, he paid attention to every little detail in the store. The atmosphere inside was calm and welcoming. The seating was arranged so people could relax and spend time comfortably. The music and lighting were carefully chosen. Remembering customers' names and talking to them personally became a key part of the service. For him, the person making the coffee wasn't just an employee, but the face of the entire experience. Howard believed a company's true strength lied in its people. So, he didn't treat employees just as workers, but respected them as partners. They were provided training, growth opportunities, and many benefits. At the time, this thinking was pretty different. He believed that if employees were respected and supported, they would give customers a better experience too. Slowly, Starbucks became known as a place where every person felt valued. When Howard took over in 1987, there were only a few stores, but his dreams knew no bounds. Starbucks had stores, but no national recognition. Profits were low, but the vision was big. Over the next 5 years, Howard expanded the number of stores to 165, including major cities like Chicago, Vancouver, and New York. This growth wasn't easy. Every location was carefully chosen. Each store wasn't just a coffee-selling spot, but a place where people felt connected. Howard rejected franchising because he believed this experience could only be controlled by them. He said, "I want to keep quality and atmosphere under my control. I can't outsource that." Before Starbucks, most Americans hadn't heard of espresso, latte, cappuccino, macchiato, or frappuccino. Howard made these words part of everyday language. He taught both staff and customers to be patient. And along with the meaning, they taught people the words. Slowly, folks stopped just saying coffee and started asking, "Can I get a tall vanilla latte with soy milk?" Starbucks was no longer just a place to buy drinks. It became a teacher and an experience provider. Howard got the power of branding deeply. Howard didn't just want to serve great coffee. He wanted people to feel proud holding a Starbucks cup. To do that, he focused on the brand's design, logo, cup quality, and making sure the same colors and premium feel were everywhere. Soon, having a Starbucks cup became a statement. "I'm successful, I have great taste, and I take time for myself." Howard understood that people weren't just buying coffee. They were buying a moment of peace, a sense of belonging, and feeling special. He gave them that experience. For a few dollars, people weren't just getting a drink. They got comfy seats, calming music, friendly chats, and a little break from the daily grind. That experience was priceless. By the early 1990s, Starbucks had spread across major U.S. cities and was making millions. Customer loyalty grew. The brand was now seen as modern, stylish, and trendy. People came here to read, work, meet up, relax, and enjoy life. At the start of the 90s, Starbucks was no longer just Seattle's name. It became a national symbol, a lifestyle vibe, a business success story, and part of millions of people's mornings. But Howard wasn't satisfied. His goal wasn't 100 stores, but 10,000. He wanted Starbucks to be in Europe, Asia, every airport, every corner of every city. This needed huge capital. In 1992, Starbucks went public on NASDAQ. The ticker symbol was SPX. The initial share price was $17, and the company's valuation was about $250 million. Howard had been turned down 217 times. Now, he had built a company Wall Street wanted to buy into. The IPO was a huge success. Share prices shot up quickly that very year. With new funding, Howard got the power to expand fast. In 1994, some baristas in Santa Monica, California, noticed customers were asking for cold coffee. Back then, Starbucks didn't have cold drink options. The baristas experimented themselves, mixing espresso, ice, milk, chocolate, and whipped cream to create something new. When Howard heard about it, he didn't stop them. Instead, he enjoyed the drink and smiled. He said, "This is great. Launch it nationwide." In 1995, Starbucks officially introduced the Frappuccino. It immediately became a hit with the youth. In the first year, Frappuccino made over $50 million. It wasn't originally planned, but quickly became one of Starbucks' most popular products. Seeing this success, Howard started planning international expansion. The first target was Tokyo, Japan. Japan was chosen because their culture deeply valued precision, beauty, and tradition. Plus, Japanese society was very curious about Western lifestyles. Japan was a unique mix of tradition and modern thinking then. That's why Howard thought it'd be the perfect place to start global growth. In 1996, Starbucks opened its first store outside the US in Tokyo. The results were even better than expected. Long lines started forming outside the new store. Soon, it became more than just a coffee spot. It turned into a trend. This success paved the way for expansion into other countries. After that, the company entered the UK, China, Singapore, South Korea, UAE, Germany, and many more markets. By the end of the decade, Starbucks had a presence in dozens of countries. By 1997, the number of stores reached about 1,400, and by 1999, it had crossed 2,500. The business was growing steadily, and the annual revenue had crossed $1 billion. Howard had become financially very successful, but as fast as the company was growing, new challenges were popping up. Maintaining the same quality across such a huge network was getting tough. Some outlets still had that old warmth, but others started feeling cold and mechanical. Customers began complaining about crowds, long waits, and noise. Many stores looked so similar that they started losing their local identity. Seeing all this, Howard grew worried. He feared the company might lose its original spirit. His dream wasn't just about building a big business. It was about creating meaningful experiences for people. On the other hand, investors kept pushing for more growth and better financial results. Howard felt caught between two pulls, his vision on one side and the stock market's expectations on the other. Managing thousands of employees, global expansion, and the brand culture was exhausting him. After leading the company for almost 2 decades, in 2000, he made a big announcement. He decided to step down as CEO. He believed the company needed fresh leadership to move forward. Though he stayed on as chairman, day-to-day operations were handed over to new executives. The new management focused more on expansion, profits, and stock prices. In the beginning, results looked good. New stores kept opening and the financials stayed strong. But deep down, something else was changing. Over time, Howard sensed the soul of the company weakening. When he visited some stores, they didn't feel the same. Everything was organized, sales were good, but the emotional connection that made Starbucks special was fading. By 2007, things got tougher. The world was heading toward an economic crisis. Consumers cut back their spending and started questioning the high cost of premium coffee. The company had to close stores in many places and reduce staff. The stock price took a big hit. The brand that once seemed invincible was now struggling. Howard was watching all this from the sidelines. For him, it wasn't just a business problem. It was a crisis of the dream he had built with years of hard work. Still, he didn't give up. That's when his comeback story began. In 2008, the global economy was badly hit. People were shifting priorities, and premium coffee felt like an unnecessary expense to many. Sales declined, and customers were dwindling. The company's performance kept slipping, and investor confidence dropped. Many stores had to shut down, and a large number of employees were affected. Morale inside the company was falling too. The brand, once seen as a symbol of innovation and experience, was facing harsh criticism. In this tough phase, Howard, who had already stepped down as CEO, took a closer look at the situation and realized some major changes were needed. When he visited multiple stores, it was clear to him that the bond between customers and staff wasn't what it used to be. Service had become routine in some places, and the unique experience that defined Starbucks was missing. Around this time, the company's board asked him to take back leadership. In January 2008, Howard became CEO again. But this time, his goal wasn't expansion, it was rebuilding. His return wasn't like a celebration. He came back to lead a company facing serious challenges. The media, investors, and market were all watching his next moves closely. Howard. Addressing the employees, he reminded them that the company's true purpose wasn't just to sell products, but to add positive experiences to people's lives. He believed that the organization had drifted away from its core values and needed to be steered back on course. After returning, he made several tough but necessary decisions. Hundreds of stores were closed so the company could focus on places where it could offer a better experience. Expansion was slowed down, with priority given to quality. He also stressed that leadership isn't just about giving orders, but about taking responsibility. His main focus was on strengthening the brand's original identity. The most important step was investing in employee training. Thousands of stores were temporarily shut down for a day, so baristas could be retrained. Yes, it caused financial loss, but for Howard, quality and pride mattered more. He emphasized better equipment, more attentive service, and genuine interaction with customers. The store atmosphere was redesigned to highlight the aroma of coffee, human connection, and memorable experiences. To rebuild the company, Howard didn't just fix up the stores. He revamped the entire customer experience. He emphasized making every customer feel personally valued. Stores were redesigned to be places where people didn't just shop, but enjoyed spending time. Technology became part of the experience too. They introduced free Wi-Fi, mobile pre-ordering, and a modern rewards program that connected customers more closely with the brand. At the same time, Howard began focusing on improving the lives of coffee farmers. He increased investments in regions where small farmers grew coffee and made sure they got fair compensation for their hard work. Social responsibility became a key priority as well. Protecting the environment, reducing waste, promoting recycling, and creating opportunities for diverse communities all became part of the company's mission. Job opportunities were expanded for veterans, minority groups, and people facing difficult circumstances. Howard believed a company's success should not just be measured by profit, but also by how much positive impact it made on society. A few years later, the results started to show. Sales and profits improved, investor confidence returned, and customer enthusiasm grew. But it wasn't just about the numbers. The spirit that once made Starbucks special was coming back. Stores began to feel warm and welcoming again. The relationships between customers and employees improved. Once, Howard visited a store near his old neighborhood and saw a young employee treating an elderly customer with genuine kindness. Their conversation was filled with respect, smiles, and true warmth. Seeing that moment, Howard realized the company's core values were still alive. That moment reminded him of his real purpose. This was not just a business success story, but a mission to bring small, positive changes into people's lives. By 2017, Starbucks had become stronger than ever. Thousands of stores worldwide served millions of customers daily, and the company's market value had multiplied many times over. It was now one of the most recognizable brands on the planet, with employees working in numerous countries. The company had also made huge strides in technology. Its mobile app and digital payment system became hugely popular among customers. People in many markets started regularly using it for ordering and payments. But for Howard, this was not just a tech achievement. It brought him joy knowing that the brand, Starbucks, had become a part of people's daily lives. Folks from all kinds of countries, cultures, and ages would come in and find a familiar, welcoming place just for them. Howard used to drop by stores without any heads up. Sometimes he'd see students studying, other times a professional prepping for a meeting. He'd notice a customer quietly enjoying their coffee alone or friends laughing and hanging out. Seeing these moments, he realized his dream wasn't just about building a business. He had created a space where people could feel comfortable for a little while. His goal wasn't to build the biggest coffee chain in the world. He wanted to build a company that truly valued people. Back in 1987, the company only had a handful of stores, but 3 decades later, it had grown to thousands worldwide. This journey was the result of one person's determination. A kid who grew up watching his family struggle financially who felt those hardships deeply and decided that if he ever got the chance to lead, he would lead with respect for people. In 2017, Howard stepped down as CEO once again. But this time, things were different. The company was in a strong position, and it was time to pass the torch to the next generation. He said change was part of growth, and that it was time to give new ideas a chance. After that, he handed over control to Kevin Johnson, someone who'd been with the company for a long time and was ready to take the future forward. Howard stayed on as chairman and remained actively involved, but his day-to-day role was limited. Retiring and taking it easy wasn't an option for him. Instead, he poured his energy into driving social change, protecting human rights, helping veterans find jobs, supporting underprivileged communities, and expanding opportunities across the U.S. He created jobs for over 10,000 soldiers, launched free college tuition programs for employees, hired refugees and vulnerable youth, and consistently raised his voice for equality. Howard believed a business's real purpose isn't just making money. His mission was always to make a positive impact on society. This belief came from his personal experience. His dad, Fred Schultz, was a delivery truck driver who got injured on the job and was fired without any compensation or support. Howard was just 7 at the time and saw firsthand the struggles his family faced. That experience stuck with Howard forever. He saw how ignoring workers affects families and communities. That's why he made Starbucks a place where even part-time employees get health benefits, stock options, education opportunities, and respect. In 2019, Howard expressed his thoughts about running for U.S. president. For him, leadership was about more than power. It was about service and putting humanity first. He wanted to bring the same mindset to politics that he had practiced at Starbucks. Although he didn't pursue it further, his message was clear. He came from a poor background and built a company that changed the world. He believed that same experience could be used to create even bigger change. Today, Howard Schultz is retired from Starbucks, but the values and culture he built live on. Every smiling employee, every warm cup of coffee, every satisfied customer reflects his vision. He showed us how to build community through coffee. He proved that it's possible to grow a huge company without losing its soul. There's a lot to learn from Howard. Your past experience doesn't control your future. Rejection isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Howard got rejected many times, but he never gave up. Lead with your heart, not just your mind. Profit is important, but people come first. Your decisions are part of your legacy. They impact people's lives. Real success means your team feels respected. Howard built his company inspired by the struggles his father faced. He once said, "Dream bigger, care more, hope more, and don't be afraid to trust even when you're the only one who believes." He trusted, and because of that trust, over 100 million people today are connected to Starbucks. Every week, people go to Starbucks, not just for coffee, but for a moment of peace, connection, and hope. And it all started with a kid who had nothing but a dream and the determination to never quit. That's the story of Starbucks. But it could also be the start of your dreams. Even if you have few resources, no family support, or people ignore you, remember, if Howard can, so can you. Now's the time to take action. Believe in your dreams, get started, and prove yourself. This story wasn't just about coffee. It's about life, leadership, love, and legacy. It's written in simple words, so everyone can understand and feel inspired. If you learned or felt something from this, share it with others. It might just change someone's life. Thank you, and thank you for believing.